In this video, I'm going to be making a horror game in Unreal Engine, but I'll only have 1 month to make it, and it's based off of a video my mom showed me. Sorry for the late upload too. I put a lot of time into this video, so it'll be worth it. It's the night before Christmas. Santa is dropping off gifts right now, but you are a naughty person. Santa will kill you if you don't find the elf on the shelf. The elf puts a note on the counter saying that Santa's not happy. You are given an adorable snowman, but if it melts, you will die. You will have to keep it cool by using the fan, and also find the elf on the shelf before Santa winds up near your house. You have to survive until Santa is done delivering presents, which will be 6 a.m. With the idea down, I started looking for some assets. I found a model of Santa and a small little snowman on Sketchfab. I followed a tutorial on modeling to make the house, because in my FNAF fan game, the pizzeria is made up of a bunch of walls, which hogs up the memory. I found some dirty glass materials in the Unreal Marketplace and slapped them on planes to use as windows for the house. I used a Niagara particle system to make snow, but it was going inside of the house, so I had to enable collision so the snow would bounce off the roof, but still someone spawned inside the house. I went to Sketchfab and found some 3D models for houses. Then I stumbled upon a whole neighborhood. I added them in made LODs and everything, but the editor kept crashing. I kept trying to fix the issue, but every time I would load up the level, the editor would crash. I was losing hope. I went to sleep that day frustrated. After I woke up the next day, I did some research to see why it was so laggy. I deleted the environment models and it was still laggy. I probably could have kept the environment in the scene because I found out that the problem was the particle system I made for the snow. Apparently it was running on the CPU instead of the GPU, and I found that the GPU can process a very high amount of particles with little to no effort, as opposed to the CPU, which struggles with even a few thousand. Even though it worked, the particles would disappear when the player would try to look at it from certain angles. I fixed it with the feature called Fixed Bounds. When I imported the model of the neighborhood, it was still lagging until I found out 3 hours later that a static mesh is definitely going to lag the engine if it had more than 64 materials, but what I imported had 99 materials. I just decided to build the environment myself with the limited time I had. I dragged in road models on planes and made them align with the world so they wouldn't stretch. I realized it didn't work as I thought it would, so I spammed Ctrl-Z and the editor crashed. Instead of importing it, I made the environment myself, starting off with some road models found off Sketchfab and laying them out across the scene. I got some tree mega skins off of the Unreal Marketplace and scattered them with the foliage painter. After I finished up the foliage, I dragged some more houses around the scene and turned off the collision. I went to sleep that day and woke up the next day starting to work on the decoration for the inside of the house. I went to bed that day with a lot of progress. The next day, I fixed some of the very dim lighting and added a TV with a familiar console in the living room. I also downloaded a ton of small assets for details around the house. The next day, I added Santa and his animations, which are his walk and his fast crawl, but I had problems making him crawl to the window, so he just jump scares you. The next day approached, and I found a solution to some performance issues known as mid-maps, and I lowered the game's quality from epic to medium in the settings. That's really the only thing I did that day because I played some video games with some friends afterwards. I was now on day 8, the start of the second week. I made the spawn points for the elf on the shelf and set up a script for the elf to choose a random spawn. My friend suggested that I make it so that you have to find the elf and do tasks for it, instead of scouting for its location the whole night. I was planning to work on Santa, but for some reason, Santa did not have a skeleton, but he was made up of parts. I didn't know how to make a skeleton, so I went back to Sketchfab and looked for more models. I decided to go back to Mixamo, and seriously, all I had to do was download the animation with the skin, because it added the skeleton skeleton made a mix-a-mo. I finally got Santa into the scene, but it took me a while to get the right size. I turned the whole wall into glass similar to how it looks in the video. After I dragged in the window, I got an ear for the player start component that said bad size. It didn't take long until I found the issue though, and the problems were the collisions with the window. I put one of my favorite YouTubers on the TV screen in the bedroom. I made a Trello board for all the tasks that Elf can throw at the player. I came up with an idea where cookies spawn around the house and you have to collect them. There's a note on the dresser next to the Christmas tree, and when you finish reading the note, you have to grab the snowman and then the night starts. Day 13 approached and I played some nice music and got to working. I found a neat model for a bomb on Sketchfab. To defuse the bomb, the player has to find a piece of paper with the 4-digit code on it. I encountered a mountain of problems while trying to add the bomb, so many that it's been 3 days. I made a flame, lighter, and candle, then put spawn points all over the house. Now the player has to collect the lighter and ignite all the candles for the elf on the shelf. But the next time I tested out the game, the player started bugging for absolutely no reason whatsoever. It was just camera issues. I tested the game out and it felt really bland, and I felt it wasn't that horrifying and needed it to be spiced up. So I added sprint. When the lights start flickering, you have to get in bed, and if you don't, die. There's a giant big creepy snowman that can randomly spawn and chase you for a brief period of time. I almost ended up scrapping it because how pointless it was until I figured out you can outrun it by using your sprinting. Day 20 came and I didn't feel any more motivation for this project. There were countless bugs and the game is poorly optimized. I'm sorry that this video took so long to make. I hope you enjoyed it if you made it this far. Thanks for watching.